Greetings, fellow action figure connoisseurs, and welcome to another episode of Digital Caveman Presents. I, as always, am your host, the Digital Caveman, and today I will be presenting you with the Four Horsemen Studios Mythic Legions Vernaliss Ardenscale. Let's get into it! Let's begin with a look at the packaging. And here on the top, mythiclegions.com, sourcehorseman.com, storehorseman.com. And then there is the Four Horsemen logo that they like to use with Mythic Legions. I had a brain fart there for a second. So, you know, if you're familiar with Mythic Legions, and you know it's got that collector-friendly packaging, which is just a card that slides off of the blister. And then so on the blister, you've got a big old window showcasing the majority of the figure and accessories, and there's probably some stuff back behind him there, so that's pretty cool. On this side, we've got this logo. I'm not sure what it means. Mythic Legions. And then on this side, we've got some text talking about Vernaliss Ardenscale, which it says right here along the side. It's got a nice picture of him right there. So if you want to read all of that stuff, please pause it right here and read to your heart's content. And when you're done, unpause it and move right along. And on the bottom, we've got small fine legalese print, made in China print. Warning, don't stick things in your pie hole if they don't belong there. And the most important, don't give it to babies. A barcode and some other 15 and up kind of stuff. So here on the back, we've got like gold full lettering for Four Horsemen and for the logo here, and then we've got a nice desert painting there, and that looks really, really cool. There's a castle up here on top of the rock, and then some more text here. If you want to read that, again, you can pause it right here, and please read all of that you want to. It's also available on mythiclegions.com. And then here's some more text about creations and all that good stuff, who photographed it and who drew it and all that good stuff. So you can pause it here and read all that stuff if you want to. And then finally, to see the entire collection, please visit mythiclegions.com. And if you're just getting into Mythic Legions, I do suggest that be your first stop, is mythiclegions.com. There you have it, my friends. That's a look at the figure. Wrong, it's a look at the figure's packaging. Let's take a look at the figure and his plethora of accessories. Now, first I want to say a lot of what's going on here is reuse from other Mythic Legions figures. Also, some Cosmic Legions stuff going on here. I don't know 100% which all is reuse, but as I go through it, I'll try to say what is. Now this piece, I'm not sure if this is a reused piece or not. I don't remember having seen this magic effect with the snake head on it before. Plenty of other, you know, twisting magic effects like this, just not with this particular head on it. And I have to say, you know, it looks pretty creepy because it's a snake. But there's some scale texture sculpted in there, and the eyes, the teeth, the mouth. So just, you know, snaky looking. And, you know, it twists around like some of the other effects that we've seen. Next up is the staff, or at least the main part of the staff. And I'm pretty sure this comes from, at least to my knowledge, it comes from Altar Salovius over in the Cosmic Legions line. And it does have some nice wood grain effect in there with a, I'm assuming it's a wash. And then we've got some paint here on the top of it, unless of course it's all molded in this color, but I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure this is a paint app. So now for the staff, there are two tops for it. This one, again, to my knowledge, comes from Altar Solovius, and it's got, again, that nice wood grain detail with a wash, and just it looks kind of cool. It's got a little hooky here on the end of it, and you know, it's got a port here for the post on the top of the main part of the staff, and it fits on there perfectly. Now I say that because I'm fixing to show you something else. And there's this piece. Now I don't recall having seen this staff piece before, but again, nice wood grain details, nice wash on it. It's got these bits and bobs hanging off of it, and they're painted up pretty well too. And you know, it's a little bit of a rubbery, bendable, soft plastic piece. Now it's also supposed to go on the top here, and in a way it kind of does, but as you can see right here, it does not fit all the way, and there is a bit of a gap there, and I've tried heating it up and twisting it and just pushing the crap out of it, and so it doesn't fit. So next up, let's talk about something that does fit, and that's his extra sets of hands, which I'm pretty sure come from the Codal Warrior, or maybe there was a reptilian-like guy in Cosmic Legions. But it's a set of fists, it's a left and a right, and they do have nice molded details, and it looks like they may have a little bit of wash on there too. The fingernail or claw is painted. It's on an in and out hinge, and there's two of those, a left and a right. And they look pretty cool. And next up, we have a set of grip hands, which, you know, again, Codal Warrior or one of the Cosmic Legions guys. Painted nails, nice sculpted detail, a wash. It's a grip hand. It's on an in and out hinge. And again, a left one and a right one. And then finally we have another set of grip hands. And these are on up and down hinges. And again, nice paint on the hand itself, the nails, and the wash, and just the detail in the sculpt is really, really good. And again, two of those, a left and a right. So next up, we have this bag, which I don't know that I've seen this particular bag before, maybe with Samir Scroll Warder, but I'm not 100% sure. So it's got these designs on it, which are, you know, to me it's very Celtic looking, and some nice molded details, straps that with buckles, and then these straps that are holding this scroll on. And then, you know, he's got the main strap here, and it's got an adjustment buckle. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's just a regular buckle. Then he's got two other belts that go across his chest. Not the easiest to get on there properly, and I honestly don't expect that you'll be able to get anything in this strap here once it's in place, because it's stretched pretty tight. And the same with this one. They both have nice molded details. This one has a little bit more detail in it. It's got a wash on it as well. I think the other one did too. Nope, no wash on that one. So this one is a little bit more detailed. And again, it's got a design in it that to me is very Celtic. And again, it has the, you know, the place for an accessory there, but again, it's very tight once you get them on and get it adjusted properly. So there's that. There I go, bumping the camera because it's a Digital Caveman Presents review. Now next up we have his magical bird avatar thing, and this comes from Dubon, I think. But his, I don't think it was a magic piece. I think his was an actual bird. But there's lots of nice molded detail in this. Some of it doesn't stand out simply because of the translucent plastic. But it's really, really cool. And the head does turn the full Exorcist. But that's the only articulation to it. And then we've got this piece here, which doesn't like to fit over his bracers. You do have to warm it up, you do have to stretch it, so just something to be aware of. It's not an easy fit, and it looks like he's got some paint for his feet as well. So very cool looking piece. Next up we have his shoulder armor. And I'm going to say, I don't know exactly where these come from. I know it's reused from somewhere, probably a lot of places. But, you know, it does have nice molded details in it. It's got a, you know, a big scratch in it. It's got rivets. And, you know, it feels like an old and used piece. Now, it's made out of very soft plastic. It's kind of gummy feeling. And it's difficult to get on the figure. And, you know, the pegs here, or the posts, want to bend rather than go into place, especially heating them up. And these things were soft and gummy before I ever heated them up. And when I say gummy, it's sticky feeling. So there's that. Now here's his extra head again. This comes from the Coda Warrior, or maybe a Cosmic Legions guy, I'm not sure, but I think this was, they did this before they did the Cosmic Legions stuff. So, you know, fangs, the inside of the mouth, wow, ooh, snakes. So that black soulless eye, kind of like a shark, and just nice scale details in there. And I want to say they did a wash on it just to make all of that stand out. And you know, it looks like there's a slight fading from the top of the head to the jaw here. The jaw looks much brighter than the rest. There's even some molded details up under there with some paint apps and just snake. So there's that. Now here's his cloak. And again, this is something that they took from Altar Salovius. Now, it may have been used again before him, but that's the place I remember seeing it. And, you know, I mean, it's an okay cloak. It's a little bulky for this figure, I think, but there's that. And it does have, it's got wire running through this part and around the hood as well, so that's all adjustable, not so much on the back side. Alright, now let's move on to the figure, and actually the last accessory, which is the tail piece, which is a bendy wire tail, and I already plugged it in. There's a port in, you know, a sensitive area, and this plugs into it. But, you know, it's nicely molded, and it does have a wash on it to help all of that detail stand out. And it, again, it's bendy wire, so it's somewhat posable. Now let's take a look at the figure himself, or the rest of the figure, I should say. Now that the same paint app that I was talking about on the alternate head applies to this one too. It's kind of fades into a lighter color here at the bottom, or a brighter color actually in those black soulless eyes, a wash to help those scale details stand out. And that's like throughout the figure. Not maybe as much on the chest section, but the arms and the back. And look at, I mean, there's just tons and tons of molded detail here on the back. And it's great looking. And there's some of this is a separate piece, I think. And some of it's not. And again, the arms have a wash. And again, a lot of detail. Or a lot of detail, rather. And then now these bracers, I want to say Kotal Warrior, but it's not. It's not the Kotal Warrior. So I think these come from Cosmic Legion somewhere. But I could be wrong because I'm not well versed in that line. Of course, I guess you could say I'm not super well versed in Mythic either, but it is what it is, I suppose. So there's a nice wash in there with a lot of detail and textures, and that just helps them stand out. And everything I said about the other hands apply to these two. Nice paint on the nails, nice wash over the hand, and it's on in and out hinges. And these are the like kind of half grasping hands. So there's that. And then we have this like crotch insert piece with lots of textural details on it. I'm sure we've seen this somewhere before. I can't tell you exactly where. Same with the belt overlays and probably the skirt piece too. And so he's got a couple of loops here on the belt. It's got lots of textural detail. There's wash on there to help all of that stuff stand out. Not so much with the just painted portions. Like I guess there is some on the buttons and buckles and stuff, but it kind of blends in with the rest of it. There's a D-ring right there. And then moving right along, he's got the soft goods skirt. It's wired for posability, and it's tattered on the edges, and it does have some holes in it as well. And then moving down to the legs, you know, again, lots and lots of detail there on the legs, and a wash to help it stand out. A little bit of a fade from the outside of the leg to the inside, and that is on both. And you can see like it's quite bright there on the inner thigh. And then moving down, we've got these shin bracer pieces, which again, I don't know exactly where these come from. They may be new for this figure, but I don't think so, given the majority of reuse on this figure. And that's okay. But it does have some nice textural details. These spikes, it's got a wash in there, and you know, they just look pretty cool. And then the feet and the hands, you know, pretty much the same. The nails are painted. I think the foot is painted. There's a wash. There's lots of scale detail. Even look at that on the bottom of the feet, and there's a peg hole right there. And so that's it for all that. Now let's take a look at the articulation. And he looks up that high, and once you start adjusting this stuff, he can look down that low. So hoorah. And he does have chicken neck, although it's very hard to get. There we go. He's got waggle. He can do the full exorcist. Now, one thing I'm going to say about this head, and I said the same thing in the Kotal Warrior, just setting it plain like this, it looks weird. It's gappy, so you kind of have to set the ball back like that. That looks a little bit better. It does show off the ball, and you can see where, you know, the paint doesn't really go around there, so it's probably not meant to be this way, but that's the way it is. And he will still do the full exorcist with the head in that position. Now, once you put the cloak and stuff on, you know, you're really not going to see that as much. At the shoulders, no butterflies or anything like that. And we get almost a 90-degree rise at the shoulder. 360 degrees of rotation there. Single hinge and swivel at the elbow. Swivels around 360 degrees. And it gives you that much bend, which is about 90 degrees, I would guess. 360 degrees of rotation at the wrist on an in and out hinge. There's a cut where the chest and the abdomen meet, and there's not a lot of motion in that. You can lean left and right a little bit. You can lean back and forward just a little bit. It's got a little bit of rotation in it. It might have all the rotation in it. Let's see. It does rotate 360 degrees. And then there's a ball joint or half dumbbell at the waist as well. And that gives you hula. And that gives you 360 degrees of rotation. Now, those two hinges working together will allow him to lean back that far. They allow him to lean forward that far. And he's got left and right. And I mentioned hula. There's all kinds of hula in there because of those. At the hips, he gives you the full splits. So that's pretty good. And then where the piece from the thigh comes out and inserts into the thigh, there is some rotation there. And he can kick forward that far, which is probably close to 90 degrees. And then back that far, a little less than 90 degrees. And then single hinge and swivel at the knee. Swivels around 360 degrees and gives you that much bend, which not quite 90 degrees by my estimation. At the ankle, where it inserts into the foot, it does rotate 360 degrees. This kind of rotates some too because of the way that it's put together. So you do get a full rotation there. I said some, but it's full rotation. And then back to the ankle, it tilts down that far. It tilts up that far. And then it does have a pin for rocker. And again, the tail, it pretty much where you plug it in, it kind of just stays there. But it's a bendy wire, so, you know, shape it to your heart's content. I don't know if heating it up will help it or damage it, but I'm not going to heat mine up for fear of damaging it. So I'll get him loaded back up with accessories and we'll show off how all that works. I won't make you sit through me trying to do all that. Alright, my friends, here we are with Vernaliss Ardenscale, as decked out as I can get him. The only things not on this figure are basically the extra pieces, the extra head, the staff piece that really doesn't fit, and the extra hands. Although I did swap out the hand here for one of the grip hands on the up and down hinge. So you can pretty much get everything on this guy. There you have it, my friends. A look at the figure and his accessories and storage, and I guess that's everything. It's time for my favorite part of a review, comparisons. And here we have the Four Horsemen Studios Mythic Legions Vernaliss Ardenscale with the Four Horsemen Studios Mythic Legions Kotal Warrior and the Four Horsemen Studios Mythic Legions Samir Scroll Warder. Here we have the Four Horsemen Studios Mythic Legions Vernaliss Ardenscale with the Harbinger Studios Savage Crucible Who-Man, the Boss Fight Studios Epic Hacks Red Sonja, and the X-Ray Studios Combatants Fight for Glory Gold Hilder. For our last set of comparisons, here we have the Four Horsemen Studios Mythic Legions Vernaliss Ardenscale, with from the Marvel Legends series making his cameo appearance, Stan the Man Lee, from G.I. Joe Classified series, the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Regal variant Cobra Commander, from Star Wars The Black series, the Archive Edition 501st Legion Clone Trooper, and for a 7-inch scale comparison from the Masters of the Universe Masterverse line, the 40th Anniversary He-Man. For final thoughts on the Four Horsemen Studios Mythic Legions Vernaliss Ardenscale, I have to say, first of all, we'll start with some of the not as positive stuff. So I guess that would be negative stuff. You know, it seems like there were some parts of this figure where it was more important to do reuse than it was to make sure that the parts actually worked well together. And that's leaving out like the bag and the chest straps and whatever, because you know you have to manipulate those pretty good to get them going. The cloak, I think, is a little much for this guy. It may be that it's not too big, but maybe it's too bulky. I'm not exactly sure how that works. It's just, it seems that there's something not quite right with it. But it's nothing wrong with the cloak. It's just, I think it doesn't work as well with the figure as, at least as I would like it to. Again, there's nothing wrong with it per se. The fire bird, or the magic construct of the bird, is really, really cool. But it's really hard to get on. You really have to stretch it a bit to get it on over the forearm armor. So I think that's a bit of, you know, something that should have been adjusted, whether they used a different armor or what. And then the last major thing that I had a problem with this figure is the alternate hook for the staff that doesn't fit. I'm sure I could modify stuff to make it fit properly, but I shouldn't have to do that with the price of these guys. You know, it should be well thought out. Everything should fit together properly. And so that really sticks in my craw about this figure. My only other complaint about it is the same one I had about the Kotal Warrior, and I'm sure any Mythic Legions that has the snake heads on it, is that, you know, when the ball joint is in the, I guess, neutral position, it's just really gappy feeling and does not look right, so that you have to, you know, lean it back. Of course, with this character, all that cloak covers that up, so it's not as big a deal with this guy. But anybody who doesn't have a piece that covers that up, it's kind of an issue with. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about, bendy wire stuff. Any of you who've watched my reviews before, I I don't like bendy wire stuff. I feel like it's the wrong thing to use, because over time that material will split and crack and just, you know, just kill everything about this figure. Unless, of course, you know, like your snake guys without tails, and in which case, you know, hey. But I'm not a proponent of bendy wire anything, really. And I'm talking about, you know, bendy wire with the soft plastics over it. I'm not talking about bendy wire like in the soft goods. I'm a big proponent of wire in soft goods, but just not bendy wire stuff covered with plastic. The wires break sometimes, and again, like I said, the material will crack and stuff. As far as the positives, this set looks really great, and you know, I definitely wouldn't want to run across this guy. The only thing that confuses me is how are snake dudes good guys? I know technically he's not aligned, but you know, the other snake guys aren't either. You know, one of the mythic beasts was a snake lady, and so I don't know. I don't like snakes, so it just it baffles me that they would make snakes good guys. So there's that. But you know, again, it looks really, really cool. I love the fanged head on this. It has a fantastic look to it. The magical bird, the snake magic effect that works with the post. I guess you can kind of work it with his arm and too where he's shooting it out of his hand. Those poses are usually a little bit harder to get done, at least for me. And some people might be a lot better at it than I am, and kudos to you, my friends. But you know, it's not 100% great, and you know, it's now, and I didn't even mention the shoulder armor being soft and gummy and sticky. But I will say this time when I put them in, it was a lot easier to get them in place, and I didn't have to heat them up. But it still was a little bit difficult to get done. But overall, I like this guy. Just, you know, I don't want to say it's nitpicks, but it does have some issues. And, you know, just be aware of that before purchasing this if you haven't already. I know a lot of people probably already have. But, and I will say this, the more I look at this cloak, the more I like it on this guy as he's spinning around here. So maybe it's not as much of an issue as I thought, but you know, it takes a little bit of time to get that hood done. Well, that does it for the review. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Only support from viewers like you make this programming possible. Each view does count, and I do appreciate each and every single view I receive. Thank you, and thank you so very, very much for supporting this channel through viewing. If you are interested in supporting my channel further, I'm now offering memberships at various tiers. Click the join button on my YouTube page, or check this video's description for the link and see if any membership offers are right for you, but only if you were in a position to do so. Comment below, like, share, subscribe if you would like to see more content or just help the channel grow, or both. That's even better. And don't forget to ding that bell so that in the future you will be notified as my new content becomes available. That's a wrap, folks. I'll see you next time.